I have one that says I think it's how to make coffee, and then science. And when we opened, I was reading it in the cafe during quiet times, but I keep it on the counter, and a customer came in and would see it go like, how to make coffee. What the hell?
Like, that's part of the
Step one.
yeah, how to make coffee just written on the... I was like, oh crap, putting it away.
Just like, hold on a minute there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Reading it.
You go,
Yeah. I'll be right with you.
In 10 minutes there, just go.
Yeah, so that was good.
I'm sure Patreon's the way forward.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And get our 3 subscribers to...
So we're on Patreon. Tier 1.
Tier 1, you give us money, we give you nothing.
Yeah. Tier 2, we give you back the money.
Minus an admin fee for...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, will we start recording?
You're all recording.
Oh shit!
Great intro.
Man, I'm gonna have to
About
cut...
5 minutes in now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Fuck.
I said to you guys a few minutes ago,
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like, right,
recording.
just picked up books, I was like, right, we're recording. And you were just
Okay.
like, yeah, so...
Well, I guess this is going in the special Christmas edition.
The boozy edition.
Yeah.
We're all ready there.
Get yourself a glass of wine.
It's the espresso martinis. Ah,
Yeah.
we'll do an episode of making espresso martinis.
Real
There we go.
Irish coffees.
That's coming in now.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Oh, and you're going to have to drop us off and pick us up.
Yeah.
We'll let you smell the espresso
Yeah.
martinis. if
That's
you're
as
good.
far as you
Yeah.
get.
You look at them, you touch them.
Getting the top of it.
All right, okay, we can do this.
We appreciate you, Owen.
Yeah.
Just let everyone
in
know.
case.
I just wanted that repeat at the start of every episode. It's flavor, just there.
No Owens were harmed.
Yeah. Not this episode, anyway.
If he's good.
Oh no.
This audio is just
Yeah.
golden.
Yeah.
Well, I just give you Cali at this stage.
Yeah.
You want to take the business?
All right, guys, welcome to today's episode of the Coffee Course. Myself and Enda, we're going to talk a little bit about not just books, but general resources. We're not talking like hardcore deep science stuff here. We can bring in Eilish for that in the next episode. But
Yeah.
all mess aside, some people will really want to get super into it, and some people will just want to learn a bit more, and some people want to read something or listen to something or watch something they enjoy. So we'll hold off on that one
this
for like, you know.
This is Alicia's one, anyway.
Yeah, we'll hold off on that for a few minutes. This is one that I found recently. It's called The New Rules of Coffee. I don't know if you've seen this. There's a similar one called The New Rules of Wine for people who might be kind of
Lovely.
interested in wine stuff. It's quite casual, but it's from the guys who makes the website Spruge.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, it's a genuine resource
Yeah.
for anyone who isn't. Spruge.com is a great place to go and kind of see what's happening.
And learn
It's a
as
bit
well.
more American based.
It is.
And a lot of the stuff is more on what's happening there, and you're not going to
Yeah.
see much about European stuff. But it's definitely interesting. There's a lot of good resources and articles
Yeah.
on,
And
But
to
it-
keep up to date with coffee and how it's going in the world.
yeah, who's the peak one and so
Next
forth.
week.
Coffee. So the new rules of coffee from the guys who do the Spruge website. Like I said, it's pretty kind of casual. Like, you know, acidity is a good thing is one of the headings. Roast profiles matter, but explained in a nice kind of casual, approachable way.
Yeah.
So
Accessible.
accessible, yeah. Like you always said, let your coffee cool down a little bit. That's a very important page.
It is. Jeff likes that.
I do like that. That's one of my favorite rules.
I would agree as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a bit of crack. It's very
Yeah.
easy. The other one I have here is absolutely ridiculous but great fun. It's called Hiroshi's Latte Art in Barista Style.
I love it.
A Japanese publication from a man who was barista champion.
I love how he has the NBA logo turned into.
I know, it's hilarious. isn't it?
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Like I said, he was a barista champion a good few years ago. I'm talking like early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell from some of the style of the book.
Before the British Championships were cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
legit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, great. I don't know if we can see it here.
Yeah, that's pretty
we'll
cool.
throw in a few pages in the book on the video. Like great ways of how to actually build from the most basic of designs up to far more complicated things, and just general ideas about how to approach, you know, recipe building, the basics of the basics of espresso, milk steaming, latte art, troubleshooting. You know what to do if your water temperature is too low, and all these kind of
It's
things.
good. Like I'd say for people who are starting out as a barista job, like
It's actually quite a good
Latte art-
resource.
Latte
it's
art
actually
is
a good
probably
resource,
a big search
Yeah.
that they do.
Yeah.
So that's probably pretty good.
Good and approachable, and I've talked about this with Tom in other episodes because people get really obsessed about latte art. But until you can steam milk consistently, you're only wasting your time trying to make
Exactly.
it. And this will tell you where you're going wrong with that. It tells you the structure, the approach, and the problems you might encounter. So it's actually, it's so funny in some ways.
Yeah.
Like he breaks down nice on his backpack,
Yeah.
and it has dated somewhat. We don't all carry cans of Red Bull as baristas anymore in Cliff Bars in our backpack, but
When caffeine doesn't hit quite as good,
Yeah.
Red Bull will.
to really give you the shakes, you know.
That's good.
And I suppose we didn't, of course, bring them with us, even though we all own multiple copies of them between us. But there are a couple of key books.
Yeah.
The books by James Hoffman.
Yeah,
The
the
World
Coffee
Atlas of
Atlas.
Coffees.
Yeah, there's actually a new edition that came out, I think, last year or the year
Yeah,
before.
the second edition.
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, that's the first book I picked up when I was really getting into coffee.
Yeah.
It literally goes from like coffee species
Mm.
to roasters to how to brew, brewing methods, milks, like the whole lot.
And examines each country and its kind
Yeah,
of historical
which is really
association
cool,
and its
yeah.
profile of coffee.
Yeah, the history.
To be fair, I still picked it up from time to time and dip in.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it'd be interesting to see the second edition because I'd imagine we're getting into a lot more different countries now than we were when we wrote it
Yeah,
first.
true.
So yeah,
And
that's
species are
Hmm.
between countries and stuff. People are going.
Yeah. So that's his book. And then the other one we mentioned was Maxwell Kelowna Dashwood, the owner of Kelowna Coffee in the UK. Has 2 books, I believe. One of which is just all about water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is mad.
Yeah.
Classic Kelowna coffee.
Yeah.
Starts off, when one talks about water, we must talk about what water is and how do we pronounce it and the word
Yeah.
itself. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it gets pretty intense in
It
parts.
does, yeah.
His other book is the Coffee Dictionary, I think it's called.
Yes.
We'll put links. That's a bit more approachable, kind of similar to James Hoffman's book.
Yeah.
But it's more literally from A to Z. So if you were wondering, like, if you want to look up green coffee and what it is and how
Yeah.
to define it, or if you want to look up any other aspect, you can dive straight to what that term is, and it'll get you a bit more information. It's,
Yeah.
it's pretty good, like, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
So what have you got
Um,
there?
Once you've read all those books, turn to this one. This is my astrophysicist, Jonathan Gagne. Kind of new, he's like a coffee blogger, if you will.
Yeah.
He has made The Physics of Filter Coffee, which I've just started reading, and I've been in the industry for a long time, and this is...
Your brain is about to explode.
Even Elise can testify for this. She has to reread paragraphs over and over and over again to get this right.
Right.
So it's super interesting, but I don't know if you get, he goes into graphs and he just he does testings and mathematical models of everything. This is crazy. So I wouldn't, if you had a coffee today, go geez, coffee is something I want to get into. Do not buy this book. This will send you so far away from coffee.
Yeah.
Leave it a couple of years, read a few other books, and then definitely get into this book.
And I think then actually, to be fair, on that note as well, it would be remiss of us not to mention a book written by an Irishman, Colin Harmon, the owner of 3FE,
absolutely.
called What I Know About Running Coffee Shops, I believe it is.
Exactly.
Very different. It is very much about the dirty business side of coffee.
Yes.
And to be honest with you,
equally important.
he's done a great job in that book.
Yes.
He breaks down everything from assessing, your staff costs as a percentage of your turnover, the pros and cons of loyalty cards, the idea of locations and how to treat your staff and how to do rosters and
Absolutely.
how to serve food, and the kind of stuff that, quite frankly, is of merit to anyone in the hospitality business in general, or thinking of getting into it. If you had a friend who was going to open a coffee shop or do something, that would be a great resource for them, because it feels very applicable to the Irish market as well.
Yeah.
It's well worth a read.
Yeah.
you know.
And he's kind of considered the godfather of Irish coffee, Irish specialty coffee.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see his take on it and what he's learned. I mean, you have
Yeah,
to read it. I read it before we started Cali.
Yeah.
I remember he has really cool tips. I mean, one of it was for security reasons. He gives the guards discount, like 50% off the coffee, so they're more likely to come in, and
They're more likely
there's
to
a
be in
guy
the
of
area.
presence. So exactly, just smart little things like that.
He says a lot of things that I, absolutely agree with, and always kind of agreed with before I read his book, and I was reading it. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of think some of this, like, be nice to your delivery drivers, give them a free coffee once in a while.
Exactly.
Like, I always do that anyways, because I'm kind of that old school Irish mentality of like, someone coming in and does a job for you, just throw them a coffee. But it makes a massive difference.
It absolutely does, and they're more likely to do well for you if you need something really quickly. They're more likely to do it for you if you treat them right.
And one of the great things he talked about too, and this is a really problem, besides there in the industry, is like people putting their staff on split shifts. And he talks about how that's not fair on them, and it leads to unhappy staff. And he said you can actually sense when staff are unhappy in the turnover of the shop and the behaviour of the customers in the shop. Stuff like that. Like no one's going to tell you that, but if you want to run your own business, it's stuff you need to know.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's he's a wealth of knowledge, but a wealth of good knowledge, important stuff that people need to take on board, especially if you're, like you said, any kind of hospitality.
Yeah, it's very applicable.
Yeah.
And then getting away from books, we're actually going to go back again to James Hoffmann, because he has a lengthy YouTube series.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many videos now.
Yeah. He, like, in fairness to him, like, he's really brought coffee into the sort of mainstream social media kind of style.
And
it's good.
As you said, you can see, like, now that he's met at his main kind of thing he does, they always look good, but they look great as a video series now. They sound good. It's very interesting. I mean, okay, like you said, some people might go, oh, look, this week he's gone to a supermarket and picked up something that says coffee on it as experimenting with. I know, but there's only so much you can do. But if you want to see his series on espresso, very, very good. Actually breaking down in multiple stages, and his AirPress series that he did recently.
Oh yeah, that was really good. He actually rocked the world with that one.
Yeah.
No, he's definitely very good.
The only thing is, you better start watching them now, lads, because I can't even keep up with.
No, I used to, like, every time I'd be like, I'm on it now. I'm like, too much. But
you know what? If you watch one of his videos, watch the video where he shows espresso extraction in super slow motion.
Oh yeah.
And talks about some of the science behind that. And they had to get specialty camera gear to shoot that. But my God, it's just some of the stuff you can see visually and that you never noticed about, like, the viscosity of the liquid. There's one point where it shows how at the initial point of extraction the coffee is so thick on the naked portafilter that after it comes down it actually almost drags itself back up. It's crazy stuff that you see happening when you examine it and that kind of,
Which is really cool, because, like, you wouldn't even think about that. And then he shows you, and then you start thinking and questioning, like, and you're, like, just getting more into it and understanding it more in general.
Or even, like, the one that I always pointed to the guys here is, like, when you're seeing extraction happen at the start and you know how the coffee starts to travel inwards because it's so dense that it can't possibly, come out any further. Stuff like that is great to watch out for. Like, it's stuff that you watch for when you're in other places. And I know we're probably the worst people to be serving in another coffee shop, because you're almost like standing beside the machine going, what does that sound like? Does that sound like a good shot?
Are you sure?
22, 23, ooh, that's a bit short.
Are you sure?
But there's that. There are some podcasts, but a lot of them haven't been updated in a while.
That's true.
And some of the audio quality is horrible in one or two of them.
Yeah.
Like Matt Perger does a nice podcast series.
Yeah.
But sometimes when he's interviewing guests, it's very hard to listen to, so I pick and choose your episodes there.
I know the guys who own Cat and Cloud in America, they do a good one about running a business, running a coffee business. It's not so much coffee technicalities, but it's about, like, how they go about, like, managing staff and the brand and the identity. It's really interesting in that way. But like you said, there's not a lot.
Within Ireland, there is Coffee Talks Coffee.
Yeah.
Where you've seen. Where he chats to, is it James Coffee? Is his name? I think.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Talks to a lot of different people in the industry. If you want to hear the voices of people in the Irish industry, in fairness, So yeah, I suppose we could put all those kind of links and stuff. And
don't forget, there's also the coffee course.
Yeah.
Loads of other videos and podcasts and more to come.
Yeah.
And one I would say is Lance Hedrick. He's American. I think he placed second in the Brewers Cup. But he's like 2-time Latte art champion.
Yeah.
But he is now taking after James Hoffmann, and he's doing a YouTube series. But he's I would say maybe a bit more on the geeky side of things. But he really breaks things down nicely. He does a really great one on latte art. He structures it really nicely, so it's easy to understand. But there's a lot of people like that who are coming into the, into the stream now and showing what they know, their experiences. He does a lot of, which is nice. He does a lot of live on Instagram Live, where he would wake up in the morning and do a brew, but do it live. So he just like talk about the coffee.
Man,
it's
he must
really
have
chill.
his privacy, you know.
I know, yeah. His dog would walk in, his kids and stuff. But yeah, he's good like that because you can hop on, hop out, hop on, and like
see what's going on.
Exactly, see what he's trying out. He'll talk about different things. So that's really nice.
And once you've done all that, if it seems a bit too much and you want to have a bit of crack, just hop onto Instagram and check out the guys from Jokes Aside Coffee and 50% Arabica, who understand that we are making coffee and not saving lives, and you know, approach that with a grounded. Approach it with a healthy bit of cynicism and a bit of crack, but also quite funny. Lots of good memes. And to be fair, like I think you know a lot of people in the industry know who they are. So if you want to go to their page, you'll probably find a lot of interesting other coffee-based profiles who tend to like interact and comment with them.
And they'll tag people and all.
And you will lose a day just laughing at the stuff on their page. So.
An Irish one I would mention is specialty Mr. Barista, I think is what it is. But yeah, and also just if you're in your local cafe and you notice your barista is really into it, try find him on Instagram or her on Instagram or they on Instagram. They will definitely have something on their Instagram about coffee, more links, and they'll lead
and they're
to
probably going to
else.
be following a lot of interesting pages and stuff too.
Check out the local people and your local roasters. They'll definitely have people and links as well. I always look for the local roasters as well and what they're posting because you'll find current things that are going on with coffee, things they might be experimenting with, new coffees that's coming out.
People that might be collaborating with or something
Exactly,
like that.
So there's a wealth of knowledge, as they say.
I'm sure we have completely omitted like the equivalent of the absolute king of coffee there somehow. But it's fine. Someone can send us a message and let us know, and we will catch you on the next episode.